Welcome to So How Do I Do That? Using Google Slide Tools to show your work. So one of the tools that you can use is a text box. You'll notice on a lot of your pages I've given you a text box. You can just click on them and type right in the answer. So this one, it needs to be in word form. So I would just type just like I would have written my answer. Now in this one, there's several boxes. So I would put my number in each. I'd have to use my space bar to move, to put it in the next spot. And then I'd put it in my last spot. Sometimes we have fractions. The fraction ones are set up so you can type the numerator in the top, that top number. Need to make my box a little bit bigger. See how I'm just pulling on the edge and grabbing it? And then after you type that number, hit enter, and you can type your denominator. That is using a text box to type. The next thing we're going to do is using a text box to show your thinking. When you have to show your thinking, I really recommend doing it on scratch paper first and then typing your work in here. It'll be much easier. So I have to do for this problem 142 plus 139 plus 105. So I'm going to break it up into numbers. So I'm going to do 100 plus 100 plus 100 equals 300. Then 40 plus 30 equals 70. And then finally 2 plus 9 plus 5 equals 16. So if I add up 142, let's try that again, 300 plus 70 plus 16, I have my answer of 386. Now that answer would get typed right here, 386. But you notice, I had a little trouble fitting that all into that space. Sometimes you might need a little bit more room. So if you need more room, you can go over here to slide, and then you would say new slide. That would add a blank slide in there, so you could do your work there. All you would do then is in this box here, you would write see next slide for work. So that way I know you want me to look at the next slide to see your work. You'll also run into text boxes when you have to model fractions. So if you notice, the text box covers the whole thing, not just the half. So if I click in that text box, I can grab the edge. So if I wanted to just show a half, now my text box is only around that half, and I can go to this fill bucket, make a color, and fill it. So that one clearly shows a half. This one, if I use my fill bucket and fill it, clearly shows a whole. And this time if I use my fill bucket, I'm going to use a different color because I'm going to show that I'm doing one whole and one half. So I showed one half, I showed one whole, and here I showed 1 1/2. Now there is another way you can mark them. You can also use typing. So I'm just going to put an X in that box, and an X in that box, and an X in that box. I've now shown the fraction 3/4. If I put a C in this box, 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 and a C in this box, I have now shown the fraction 1 1/4. It works the same way if we're showing it this way. So I need to show 13/8. So here, I fill that all in. I've now covered up 8/8. So I need 5/8 more. Well, I can't just fill them all in for that. So I'm going to use my X's, put one there, space bar over. Now I've done 2. Hit enter, make it down to the next row. 3, 4, enter and down to the next row, and 5. Notice I hit enter there twice so I can make sure I clearly got it in the box. The next one I want to show you about is drawing a line. Now you notice up here I used the bucket fill that was up here. There's another tool up here, right here. It's a line. And when it looks like this, I'm going to click on it and be able to draw a straight line. So I'm going to click on it. And this one says I need to draw to 530. So I'm going to go here and 530, draw the line. Now I need to draw another line. So I'm going to click back on the line. And this one needs to go to 660. And I can continue drawing my lines to show each of my sections. Now here on this one, I can draw a line to show where 3/10 of a liter is. Click on my line tool, go 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, and I can start on one side, draw all the way across to the other, and I've now drawn a line to show me where 3/10 is. This one down here wants me to show 9/4, so I can use my tool to draw my boxes and divide them up into fourths. And then I would use my text box feature to mark which ones I wanted to count. In this case, I would want to do X's in them to show which ones I want to use and which ones I don't. But sometimes you have to draw a curved line to make jumps. So if you go back up to that line 1, go to the arrow next to it, and then it's the one that says curve, not curve connector, curve. So I click on that. I can click here, click where I want the top of my curve, the bottom. You see how I drew that? I'm able to draw all of my jumps. And then I double clicked on it when I was done. And then I need some answers here. So this one needs a 1 in it because it's 1/4. And you could continue to fill in the rest of your fractions the same way. The final thing I want to show you how to do is draw some shapes. So back up on this toolbar, here is the shape. When you click on it, it says shapes, and I can go to shapes. So I want to draw some base 10 blocks. So in order to do my hundreds, I just draw a big square. So there's 100 for my 143. I'm going to draw another one. So there's another 100. And there's another 100. So I've now drawn my 300s. Now I need 4 and 2. I need 6 10s. I can use the same tool. Click on here, click on my rectangle again, but this time I want to make long, skinny rectangles. Until I have enough. And for my single ones, instead of doing rectangles, I'm just going to do circles. And I can draw my circles that I need for my ones. So there is just a quick review of some of the tools that you can use to help you solve problems on Google Slides.